Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Bill Has Opinions. We're like a drive time radio show, but without the smooth jams. And I am Laura Lavoie. We don't have enough smooth jams. And I'm joined, of course, by Bill Perkins, who has opinions. Hi, Bill. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I was going to mention that we also don't have, we don't ever get the lead out here.
We do not. We do not. We should.
Yeah, maybe one episode we will.
That's true. That's true. So how are you doing? Anything fun and exciting happening to you this week?
My stepdaughter graduated from high school on Sunday. It was the weirdest graduation I've ever been to because of situation right now. I had a pretty good sunburn going. I think it's mostly faded, although my forehead itches now from it. Because we took the convertible. So the way people are graduating nowadays is there's a drive-through car lane, basically. You queue up in a car, and your kid hangs out the car and waves to all their friends, and then you drive past a place where someone hands them their stuff. You know, here's your diploma, here's your yearbook, good day. That's kind of how it is. So we did that, but we were sitting, because it was a big queue, we were sitting there with the top down, and it was the most cloudless day of the last 3 weeks.
Of course.
So I got pretty good and scalded by the time it was all said and done.
Well, congratulations to her. That's super exciting. What are you drinking?
I gotta say that.
What are you drinking to forget the pain?
Oh, to forget the pain, I'm drinking Upcountry Blackcurrant Goza from Upcountry Brewery in Asheville, North Carolina. And later on, I'll be chasing that with Boojum's Blood Orange IPA.
Nice.
What do you got?
Well, I was feeling the sour beers too. Mine is also very red. This is a Wicked Weed Watermelon Dragon Fruit Burst. I don't normally buy Wicked Weed beers, but I was craving sour, and it was the best they had at our beer store. So it's actually pretty good.
I can't remember. I had a watermelon. I don't love watermelon. That's one of those weird, quirky things about me. I don't care for it. However, I had at least one watermelon beer last summer that was a sour, and it was not awful. I don't remember who did it. It might have been that one. I don't remember.
It's really good. We will have to have a whole show on wet foods and why you don't like them. Because I know we agree on some of them, but disagree on others, and I think it's an interesting quirk.
Right.
All right, but that is not today's show. Today's show is about moving, something we all have to do and none of us enjoy.
I'm sure there's the one freak out there who does enjoy it, who just moved to a new house. I'll tell you something funny. When I was a kid, my dad moved every 6 months, all the time after my parents split up. He was always moving. And I don't know whether this was because to avoid creditors or, but either way, it seems like such a royal pain in the ass. I can't imagine anybody would just go, you know what, I'll just pay the bills. I'll just pay them. It's fine.
Right. Well, wouldn't it get more expensive to keep moving?
That's what I'm thinking. It's going to cost you $1,000 every time you move. Why don't you just pay your creditors off and then stay put?
Well, you recently moved. You moved earlier this year, right?
I moved at the end of last summer, so it's been less than a year.
Oh God, has it been that long already? Jeez.
Yeah, it was last August.
That's right. I guess it has. So how was that experience for you?
So I will say this. I always have to apologize to my wife about moving because I hate moving so much that I don't put a lot of effort into it. And I'm bad at planning the move, weeks in advance when you're supposed to be boxing your. I'm always the person who's I can't put that in the box yet because I'm still using it right now. That's the thing. And I'm that way with everything, every single thing. I mean, unless it's the winter clothes or something like that. That's the only thing I could possibly think I'm not going to use in the next 3 weeks. So I'll be okay, I boxed the winter clothes up, so I'm good. That's that. But anything else, any other single thing, toiletries, a huge vinyl collection, whatever it is. I'm like, I'm using that. I'm still listening to records right now. I'll pack them up before I move. So it's
even
kind of
records,
ridiculous.
Records that you haven't listened to in like 10 years, and you're like, I need these.
Actually, yeah, I need them. I'm doing something with them right now.
It's a reasonable excuse not to pack, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah. What's that?
That you need them. I need all of these things. I need the entire contents of the junk drawer right now. Whatever you got.
Yeah, these packets.
I need this twine. I need all this tape. I don't know why I have lots of tape, but I need it.
These 2 dead AA batteries. I'm using them right now.
Exactly. No, the one thing I've always found is that the packing your kitchen is always the last thing that you can or should do, because that is truly the only stuff you really need.
Yeah, you can pack. Week 1, here's my thing. Pack the Christmas tree, pack the winter clothes, pack the cookbooks, because you don't use the cookbooks anyway, ever. You've never opened the cookbook because any recipe you need, you can get off the internet quicker than the right book and opening it. So I don't even know why we're still moving the cookbooks. Oh, it's because half of them are gifts. Like there's something that grandma got you for Christmas, or or a friend gave you after that trip to Thailand or something, and that's the only reason people have that cookbook is some sort of sentimental attachment to it. It's not because you need that cookbook. You're not going to use it. Let's be honest.
That's true. I do have one cookbook I use, and it's my mother-in-law's Greek cookbook, and I do actually cook things out of it, but I cook things out of it like once a year.
Okay, fair enough. So, I think that there's probably a cookbook that I have. I don't know if I use the cookbook or if I've stuck like some of my grandmother's recipes in the back of the cookbook, but that's where I keep them. You know what I mean? And I know Emily's got a cookbook, like the first cookbook she ever bought when she was a pastry chef or something, and she still keeps it because maybe if I decide I'm going to make key lime pie or something, it's in that cookbook, and that's where I get it from. But most recipes, I'm the kind of person where most of the time if I've cooked something twice, I know how it's made now, and I just make it from sight, and don't worry about the cookbook anymore. So I don't know, cookbooks are dumb, but yeah, I'll pack those the first week. And it's basically like I'll do that. I'll pack the cookbooks and I pack the action figures and the summer clothes and the Christmas tree, and then I'm like, well, look, I did a thing. I'm good, right? Like
Right.
And I'm really lazy, and then my wife's mad because I didn't pack a damn thing for the next 3 weeks. And the day of the move, I always have to work or something, and so she ends up doing the lion's share of it, and I just have to eat crow later because I hate moving. I just hate it.
Well, so is this your last move ever? Is this this is where you're going to die? This is it?
This is the forever home. Yes, the last thing that gets moved in this house is my dead body out of it.
I completely understand. Yeah. So Matt and I are going to be moving in almost exactly a year because, as viewers mostly know, we live in Asheville, but we came to Atlanta for him to go to school, and then we have to go back to Asheville. So almost exactly a year from now, we'll be moving back, and that is going to be the last time I ever move. I'm going to die in that house. Hopefully not soon, but I don't plan on ever leaving it. And I was actually adding it up. The move back to Asheville would be the 9th move of my adult life, not including college. And that's enough. I'm good.
Hold on a second. Let me do some math real quick.
I actually wonder what's average. And while he's doing the math, viewers, if you want to join the conversation, definitely add your comments. We might talk about them. How many times have you moved in your life? Adult life.
I'm putting I think I'm at 10. This is my 10th move in my adult life. If I start from leaving the town I went to college in, yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, because I don't know that college counts because, that's a different thing.
Okay, yeah, but
Although I do remember moving home from my second year of college. I had a roommate and we were not neat people. She and I the whole room was completely trashed. I have developed better habits since then. And I remember that I did almost nothing to pack to go home that summer. And like my mother came into my dorm room and was like, "What the hell is this?" And we literally threw stuff into garbage bags and put it in the back of the car. And it was awful. So I learned a lot of things from that. Don't do that. That's a bad way to move.
I will say this. This happened to me one time. I had one move where this was after my divorce, and I was moving far. I was living in Charlotte, and I was moving to Asheville, and I was just A, I don't like moving, and B, it was kind of a new start thing. So I just got rid of most of my stuff and figured I'll acquire new things when I get where I'm going. And that was actually the most stress-free move I ever had, aside from all the other whirlwind stuff that was going on in my life at the time. But I guess maybe that was it. I just didn't need more additional grief. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to get rid of everything, and then I'll just move, and I'll just buy new things at the new place, and I'll be fine, I mean, I moved a thing or two, a futon or something, but.
Right. Yeah, I helped a friend move. She was actually moving from North Georgia to London, England. And she got one of the big, ship storage containers and moved her entire house of North Georgia into a storage container. I was like, if I'm moving to London, I don't need any of this. You know what London has? They have stores.
Yeah. No, I might throw a couple. I would put together maybe 2 large PBS boxes of the sentimental crap, and then yeah, like you said, they sell stuff in England.
Exactly, and no judgment on her. She wanted what she wanted, but I would not do that.
Yeah, you could get different. Like you could probably get nicer stuff in England. I bet older stuff anyway.
That's true.
Stuff from Europe.
It makes it fancier, I think. It's definitely fancier.
I would just go and buy a bunch of European stuff and be happy with that. Only thing I would pack 1 box of American hot sauce. I don't know if you can get it over there.
No, I don't think there are American stores where you can go buy American things, but yeah, but I don't know if they have hot sauce. But one thing I would say, if you have appliances that you're moving, like kitchen gadgets and stuff, it's not going to work anyway. You need to get the adapter plugs.
Yeah, just get rid of them. Take the vinyl collection. Buy a new turntable when you get to the
UK. Exactly. They sell them there. All right. So now is the time we normally break for station break, and we usually plug a local business or something like that, but we want to do things a little bit different this time, so we're going to take it down a level. We're going to get a little serious. Bill, what do we want to talk about?
Okay, so I tried my initial feelings on this show was I was going to try and keep it light and airy mostly and not get too deep and political, but alas, these are the times we're living in, so I'm going to get a little political. I currently have the belief, especially with what's going on in the world in the last week here, and I'm talking about the violent murder of George Floyd by the Minneapolis police. Based on that event and the ongoing response to that, I feel like if we're not being actively anti-racist in this environment, we're being passively racist. And I don't want to be passively racist. So I want to take a moment and say, hey, this is not right, what happened. I mean, I've always felt that. Sometimes, actually, my wife gets mad. She thinks I'm actually a tad overboard, too anti-cop most of the time. But, over the last couple of years, they don't do a whole lot to win over my trust.
Right.
I mean, next week I'll be force-fed some sort of feel-good story of a cop petting a kitten or something on the news, and that's supposed to somehow absolve them of anything bad that's happened over the last 10 years. And I don't eat it up, and I don't buy it. But that's not really, I mean, I'm not really here just to admonish the police. I mean, I think it's a horrible thing, but it's because of institutionalized racism that this sort of thing happens. I mean, it's just ingrained attitudes and people not self-reflecting enough about what their attitudes towards different people are. Maybe, I feel like if you walk around and think you're colorblind or that you don't see race or something like that, that you're fooling yourself. You have to constantly self-analyze. I mean, I will get cut off in traffic by a person of color, and sometimes, I'm not saying every time, but sometimes I'll have a reaction to that's lizard brain nonsense, and then I'll usually have a moment after that where I go, hey, what's going on here? Like, why you don't think like that? But you have to constantly do that. It's not like you make a decision like I'm not going to be a racist anymore, and now like you're a perfect person after that. And it's not like that with anything. You constantly have to self-reflect and adjust, and you learn new things all the time. The way to be an anti-racist now is not the same way you were an anti-racist in 1995. I feel like back then you felt it was good enough just not to use the N-word and to be nice to black people, and that was good enough, right? Like you felt like, okay, I'm not a racist, I'm good. I feel like now it takes it to another level. Like you got to step it up a notch. You got to be more than just nice to some black people that you pass. You got to be mean to some white people. That's sadly where we're at. It's going to be an uncomfortable conversation to have with some white people. I was telling Laura before the show started. I heard some chatter over the water cooler yesterday. It was my first day back in the office after several months, and it's actually my first day in a new office, so I didn't really know these people. And I heard somebody brought it up, and I was like, oh crap, here goes. Now I'm going to start hating my new coworkers immediately. Surprisingly, no. They had some very progressive thought about the whole thing. I was shocked. They expressed a little bit of sadness over some of the rioting, but they didn't get too deep into that. They mostly were like, but the anger is justified. And I was like, we've come a little way if you can get white people to say anger is justified. I feel like maybe. I mean, I'm not saying that solves anything, but I was pleasantly surprised to hear it, because I thought for sure I was about to hear one of those, I'm not racist, but kind of,
Right. So
I'm sorry, I just prattled on. If you have something to say about the matter, go.
Well, I just want to, normally we take this time to promote local businesses and things like that. And, we both talked about that we feel disingenuous right now. So instead, I just want to actually mention a few things that people can do, buy or watch. Specifically, if you want to educate yourself to be a better ally, there's a couple of books that you should buy and read. One is White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo, and one is How to Be Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. Definitely recommend those. And on Netflix, watch the documentary 13th, which was directed by Ava DuVernay, who was already one of my personal heroes. This movie is incredible, heartbreaking, but it really shows us how we got to the place where we are right now. So I encourage people to do those things, educate yourself so that you know what you're doing. It's not enough to just be not racist. You have to be anti-racist. So that's what we have to say on that matter.
Yeah, and I wanted to add to that maybe Autobiography of Malcolm X is a good read. That's pretty eye-opening. I think when I was younger, I had an idea about what Malcolm X was about, and I thought he was anti-white. And that comes from that white fragility thing, like any kind of criticism of the white man, somehow you take personally, like it's, oh, that means I'm a bad person. Well, I don't want to hear this. But no, I read it, and he had a lot of very good points to make. And when you just shuck that whole this is about me thing, and I mean, read any book from a black person's perspective and just shuck that part first and just take it in and really think about it for a minute without ego. And you'll learn a thing. But while we're on the topic, I want to say there's some good. This is plug time. I'm going to say there's some good charities and advocacy groups maybe to give some money to right now. I want to say you can give directly to Black Lives Matter, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. That's a good one. Shoot, what's it called? I can't remember it now. Gosh, there's a charity that I gave money to a while back, and I can't now for some reason I can't remember what it's called. I got an email from them this morning and forgot it.
You can always put it in the comments below so people can see it after the show.
Color of Change.
What one was
Change
it?
is the name.
Yes.
Color of Change. And then I want to say also, this is tangentially. I can't ever say that word. I don't know why I keep trying to use it. Tangentially related. If there's a progressive candidate out there who's going to do good things, positive things for people of color, I'd say, it's a good time to give to them too. I would recommend Jamie Harrison, who is actually a black man. He's running against Lindsey Graham, and he's actually really close in the polls. That'd be a good person to get rid of in politics, Lindsey Graham. We kick that guy out. It's down in South Carolina. Let's give Lindsey the boot and give Jamie Harrison a try, and if we get enough progressive people in the Senate and in Congress, maybe we'll see some change. That would be positive for people, I think. And vote in local elections, vote in the national elections, vote in all the elections. Go vote. Yeah, your mayor is the person who can fire your police chief. So, you vote for sheriff also. You can vote sheriff out if they're, being ridiculous right now. I want to say, I've seen some responses, and some of it's not all across the board. I've seen some cops maybe they realize the gig is up and they're, hedging their bets now and siding with racial justice, which they oughta. They ought to get on the right side of history. But, if they're not, if you're living in a town where they're tear gassing everybody, might be time to get that mayor out if he hasn't fired your police chief yet.
Yep, absolutely. So I know we got real serious there, and we don't always do that, but there will probably be times when we want to or need to, and so just know that that's a thing that's going to happen. But we can get back to our regularly scheduled programming, moving, which everybody loves.
Moving back off of that topic and on moving
on. But we can't move on. We need to keep talking about it, but we can talk about something else right now.
Yeah. I want to say about back to moving. I want to mention that there was one time I was living in Chicago, Illinois, and I had moved there from South Carolina, and I at the time owned a pickup truck. And let me tell you something. I was the most popular guy in town when people found out that I owned a pickup truck. When you own a pickup truck, you are everybody's friend, at least that weekend that they're moving.
Oh, you don't even have a pickup truck right now. You've got that that ugly thing, the Baja, which for people who don't know, it's like it actually was rated one of the ugliest cars to be ever made. But it has a bed, and when we were moving, you took a bunch of our shit. So thanks.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't. If you have something that can fit stuff, people are probably going to ask you for help.
That's true. Yeah, the Baja actually I think is a great moving vehicle for moving across town because it's one of those that you can make multiple small trips with, right? Mm-hmm. But you can't haul a bed or a chest of drawers or anything like that.
Right.
So it kind of limits you a little bit. It means you don't get tons of asks. But for me personally, when I've done a short move, it's always been great because you can just drive it back and forth with a couple of small loads. And I always, what the best thing I would do was I remember one time I was moving across town in Charlotte, and I would move in the evenings after work, and sometimes it was raining. And so what I would do is I had like 4 of those really large Rubbermaid totes, and I would just take. I would take them from one house to the other. I'd empty them out. I'd take them all back to the old house, and I'd fill them up and close them, and then put them in the bed of the Baja. And so even if it was raining, it didn't matter because nothing was getting wet. That's how I moved. I just moved a little piecemeal at a time, but it worked out. It was a good vehicle for moving.
Yeah. So speaking of the truck, so we've got another friend, Bill. Not you, Bill, but other friend who also has opinions, because I've learned that's a thing that folks have. But so a while back, we moved to Atlanta in 2003, and we lived in an apartment for that first year, and then we bought a house in 2004. And we had just met Bill and his wife, Susan. So, I mean, we hadn't known them for that long, but he had a truck. So, I mean, he did volunteer, I will say that. But he helped us move from the apartment to the house. And it was a very local move. It wasn't, cross country or anything. But I will never forget this, because in that experience, we broke Bill. While he was helping us, he threw out his bag, and it took him years to recover from that. He was actually out of work for a while. I'm sure he would tell me now that it was not us that did it, that it was already a problem. But I think about that literally every day, that I broke Bill because he helped us move, because he had a truck and we'd only known him for like 8 months.
I got you. Actually, I also have back problems, and this is another reason why I don't like to move, because I can no longer move really heavy things without paying a price later.
Right.
So I don't volunteer to help friends move unless it's something small, or just the use of the Baja.
Right, exactly. I think helping people move like that is a task of the young. Like, that was something that we did like right after college, or when we were still in our 20s, and we're like, yeah, I'll help you move. And now we're like, I'm not going to help you move. Like, I'm just not.
I got stuff going on that weekend.
Exactly. No matter what weekend it is, they're like, I haven't told you what weekend it is. You're like, I have things.
Yeah, but things happen. I've got a scheduled event.
Exactly. So, do you have any moving tips? Are there any things you would say to people that they should do or know before they move the next time? Because I'm looking for some. You just moved. We're going to be moving again. It's not like we haven't moved before, but you can always make it more efficient. So, do you have any tips for people who are moving?
Firstly, downsize whatever you can. Get rid of whatever you don't love, right? I mean, and I'm bad to say that because I have a lot of crap, and all of it's important to me. But I'm still using it all right now, So
Right.
I'm really bad to get rid of stuff. But if there's anything you can get rid of, like I said, that one move where I got rid of all my possessions and then moved without them was the easiest move I had. So I'm not saying to necessarily do that, but I'm saying whatever you can get rid of prior to the move is less stuff you have to move, right?
That's true. That's true. And I think real quick that you told me, but this last move, like, if you're moving with your partner and they're the kind of person that tends to be a pack rat, don't ask them if they want a thing. Just determine they don't.
Oh yeah, I say that about me. Like, so my wife will like put a pile of things, in the corner of the room or on the bed or something, and say, "Hey, is this stuff you want?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, don't ask me. Just make it disappear. Because if you ask, I'm going to attach sentiment to it somehow. I'm going to go, oh well, that's a thing I needed, or that goes with the thing that goes with the other thing, or I come up with reasons to keep it. If I don't know it's gone, I mean, one day there'll be a day 6 months from now where I'll go, whatever happened to that thing? And I'll look around for a minute, and then I'll decide, I guess I don't have it anymore.
Yeah, and like all I can picture is that in this pile of stuff, and was a ratty old wig that you got from like the Goodwill bins that you wore as a gag costume one time, where you, Matt, and another friend Jay, who sometimes listens to them, dressed up as old ladies, and it was hilarious. But first of all, it was a wig you found at a Goodwill in the bins, and second of all, I did just imagine you seeing that in the corner of stuff going, no, I need that wig. I don't know why you need that wig, but you need it.
You know when I'm gonna want to wear that wig again. Like that's important to me. No, it can be something as simple as a piece of red wire about this long, right? Sorry, it could be a piece of red wire this long, and I could see it. I could go, but there's conceivably a reason why. Or it's like let's say like an 80% used tin of shoe polish or something like that. You know, I'm like, what? I'm not gonna like throw it away and then have to go out and buy shoe polish again. That's crazy. So yeah, we're moving it.
But I'm exactly the opposite when I move. I do not attach sentiment to anything. It can be almost anything. It can be a family antique, and I'm like, nope, don't want it. And like 4 years later, I'm gonna be like, you know what? Really wish I hadn't gotten rid of that. But when I'm in the middle of moving, all I want to do is not that. So I just want it gone.
So I will say this. So here's my problem is what I was just thinking about a piece of red wire that's about that long. I will move that piece of wire 4 times. And then at some point, my wife will convince me that I haven't used that wire in 8 years. And throw it away. And I'll relent. I'll say, fine, we'll throw the wire out. And I guarantee you, within 2 weeks, the project will come up. And I'm at Lowe's. I'm buying an entire roll of wire because I need a piece that long. That's always the way. So that's why I pack rat, because I feel like there's always a use for something later. And also because I guess my grandparents, like they were Depression people and also just crazy. They were probably hoarders on top of that. Like it wasn't just the Depression that made them hoarders. It was growing up poor in the South that made them hoarders. I don't know, but they were awful hoarders. And they attached value to every single thing, and I inherited it. And it's really hard to give it up and say, I don't need that stupid thing. Let's just get rid of it, you know? I have books on the shelf that I've read once and I'm never going to read again. You know, I keep them like y'all do. We keep them on our shelf about the kind of person we are, right?
Right.
So we want people to come over and see our bookshelf and go, oh, just because he's got that book and that book and that book, I have a thing about what kind of person he is, you know? So it's like this, like sort of a curated view of who you are. And that's what I guess a lot of the knickknacks and bullshit that we keep are, right? Is because we feel like they tell a story about us. It's not really that the things are worth that much, but they tell our story. And that's what we want, is to have something that says I was here and this is what I was.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's hard to get rid of that stuff. That's the stuff I move over and over again. The kitchen table, man, you could chuck that thing out to the curb and I'll buy a new table. I don't give a shit.
Often, if I'm moving anyway, part of the reason is because I want a new experience. So why would I bring my old and busted kitchen table when I can get a new one and completely design the space to be something that I like in this space? Like it's not just moving the exact layout of my last house to a new house.
Right. Yeah, new house, new stuff. And we did a little of that actually in this last move too. We got rid of most of the furniture and just started over. And we've got a really sweet, I don't know if you guys have seen this crap, but so this is kind of a trend right now. And I hate that it's trendy because it's going to be one of those things like in 10 years, everybody's going to go, oh, you bought that in 2020. But we got one of those, it's like a sort of a steampunky looking industrial crank table. It's like a stand that like an industrial lathe would go on, but
right.
Instead it's got a tabletop on it and it's got this like crank. So you can actually make it up and down, you know, so you could like if we have parties or something, we could raise it up to, you know, almost chest height.
Like counter, like your bar counter. Yeah.
So we love it right now. I'm a little worried it's going to be hella dated because I see them all the time right now. You know, in like design catalogs and stuff.
Right.
But we love it. I will say when I moved to Asheville, actually, that was the move I was saying that I chucked all my furniture and just moved, and then I bought new furniture. And when I got here, the table I bought was I went and bought a 1950s red Formica table with a chrome ring around it
Nice.
because I'd always wanted a 1950s kitchen, and so I bought. Yeah, I had a whole red kitchen. It was a pretty cool secondhand from. I actually went to several of the antique stores in Asheville, and they would have them, but they wanted like ridiculous amounts for them. They were like $300 and $400. And then I finally saw somebody on Craigslist was selling one. They were selling it for like $70, and it had the leaf, and it had 6 chairs with it. They were all upholstered in red, and I was like, man. And I went down there with the Baja, and I filled it up, and anyway, that was our table for several years. What are you drinking now?
Oh, I have a Green Man ESB, little taste of home right here.
Okay, you just bought all Asheville beers this time?
Yeah, not intentionally, but we did.
You like what you like.
Exactly. Yeah, we were looking for something a little malty. So anyway, your table.
Oh, I was gonna say,
was that
one other tip? Go ahead. I'm sorry. What?
No, nothing terribly important. I want to hear your tips.
One other tip I was going to say, well, you're living in an apartment now, so this won't come up. But if you're living in a house, I would say early on, go clear out the crap that's under the house and the stuff in the attic. Get that stuff first, because that's the stuff that the last day of the move will bite you in the ass. That you will be like, oh shit, I forgot to go look in the shed, or I forgot to go look in the under the crawl space, and then you'll realize you've got all this other crap. Like you've got an entire another truckload of stuff that you've got to deal with. So yeah, deal with that early on. You're clearly not using that stuff because it's not even in the house.
Exactly. No, we had an interesting situation in one of our moves because we scaled down from. Well, actually, over a course of several moves, we scaled down from 2,700 square feet to about 800 square feet to 120 square feet. And yes, folks, you heard that correctly. And then scaled back up again to 700 square feet. But in the middle there, between the 2,700 and the 800, we got a storage unit. And when we were moving from the 800 square foot apartment to the tiny house, we said, if we haven't used anything in the storage unit, it goes, like, because we literally didn't use it for 2 years. And if it's been in there for 2 years and we're moving into a literal tiny house, we do not need it.
Yeah. And hey, so here's a caveat on my hoarding, because I know I'm a hoarder and I'm bad to keep a lot of stuff. But I will say this: if you have anything in your attic besides the Christmas tree, you have too much stuff in your attic. It is the only thing the attic is for, the Christmas tree.
It's funny because I don't know that I've ever had a proper attic. I guess we had an attic the first time when we lived in Georgia, the first house we lived in Georgia, but we also had a crawl space in this terrifying basement that I was convinced was haunted, so I did not go down there. So we didn't store anything in our attic. The only thing in the attic was literally a family of squirrels that we had to get rid of like the day we put the house on the market.
So where did you keep the Christmas tree?
In the hideous crawl space that I refused to go into.
Okay.
It was terrifying.
I'm just saying, if you have those weird spots, like really if you have something that you keep in a non-livable part of the house, the only thing you should keep in that part of the house is the Christmas tree, because it's the only item that you need to store in a non-livable part of the house. You know what I'm saying? Like anything else, you either need it or you don't need it. If you need it, it should go in the house. And if you don't need it, you should get rid of it. But the Christmas tree is the one exception to that because you only need it periodically.
True. I have a ridiculous amount of Christmas. All holiday. I've got separate boxes for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter. Easter isn't even a holiday I celebrate, but here I am. And because I love to decorate. So we have a ton of seasonal decorations. But yes, we store them in the one place that is not a living space.
Right. So yeah, those are my pieces of advice for a quick move out. I want to throw a bone to a product slightly. I haven't bought one of these yet, but I wish I had bought one. Okay, but they make this thing, and it's like a strap that goes over your forearms,
Mm-hmm.
and you put it under heavy stuff, and it lets you I guess so you don't have to completely bend over to pick things up.
Yes, we have bought them.
I don't own one, but I'm an advocate because when I do lift, even though I shouldn't because of my back, when I do lift furniture, I like to lift it up high enough where I have free movement of my legs, which sometimes, so if I'm holding one end and my wife's holding the other end, oh, that's too high. Why are you picking up so high? But I'm like, because I can't stand to shuffle along while I'm holding a 300-pound dresser. Like, if I get a 300-pound dresser up, we better start moving. I better be able to swing my legs wildly, throw it in the back of the truck right now.
I think that works. Yes, Matt is chiming in. Forearm forklift. Indeed, we have purchased this product.
Okay, yeah. Well, I've seen it, and it looks fantastic, and I would recommend it just from seeing it. I'm like, the physics make sense to me. I used to actually move. This is crazy. I used to move furniture for a living when I was in high school. My last job in high school. Yeah, I used to. Well, I didn't move furniture. I delivered furniture. I worked for a store that sold furniture, and I drove this is crazy. I got the job. I showed up, and the guy said, "Can you drive a straight drive?" And I said, "I can." And he said, "You're hired." Because apparently most 16-year-olds can't.
All right. Fair enough.
And then I showed up the second day, and there was a large thing I had to deliver. And he said, "Well, this is too big for you to carry by yourself. Do you have a friend?" And I said, "I might." He's like, "A friend that wants a job?" So I called my friend Doug, and I said, "Hey, Doug, what are you doing right now?" He's like, "Yeah, I was just watching TV." I was like, "Come help me move this thing." So he came, and from that point on, me and Doug both delivered furniture from this place. And we did this until the place went out of business, actually.
That's awesome.
And it was actually my favorite job I had in all of high school. And the reasons were, and I'm sorry, I'm back on jobs now, aren't I?
But it's related. It's jobs about moving things.
About moving. But so what was great was we got exercise, right? It was some physical exertion. So we were actually, it was probably the most built I ever was because I was lifting furniture all the time, right? So I was like, I had some good, upper body strength going. And then on top of that, you were in the office for like an hour at a time, maybe tops. And then you would load the truck, and then you were out and about. And we would go out and deliver the furniture, and we would be out. And after we delivered the furniture, sometimes people would tip us for delivering the furniture because that's a hard job. Here's $10. And this was, of course, in the early 90s when $10 was big money. And we would sometimes we'd be 4 towns away from our hometown where the shop was. And so we would be like, well, hey, let's just stop here and get something to eat because the boss don't know where we're at. He doesn't know how long it takes to deliver furniture and get back. So we'd stop and we'd have a meal. Yeah. We would stop and have a meal with the tip money. The whole time we're on the clock.
Sure.
It was good times. And then, like I said, I was with my best friend delivering furniture. Hey, Doug, if you're out there watching, by the way. Yeah, we had a grand time. It was a good job. I actually liked moving at the time, but it wasn't my stuff, so it didn't really matter, I guess. I did learn. I learned a hard lesson. Sorry, I want to take a second and talk about this. I learned a hard lesson that way. I lost one piece of furniture in that entire job. Here's what I learned: if you have a mattress and it's in a mattress bag, okay, it can and will shoot straight out of the top of the truck if air gets in that mattress bag. because air comes over the top of a truck. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out. Air comes over the top of a truck, and then it does this swoop around thing,
Right.
and it goes up into the mattress, and it lifted this mattress straight out of the top of the truck. It was tied in the back, and it was tied on the sides, but it wasn't tied across the top.
Right.
So I learned a hard lesson. The mattress landed in the highway. Actually, sorry, it wasn't the mattress, it was the box springs. If it was a mattress, it'd have been fine. But it was the box springs. So it flew right up, landed in the highway, splintered all to bits. My boss was furious, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to pay for this. And I don't have $800 for, I only make $5 an hour. And it turns out I didn't have to pay for it. He was mad. He was sore about it for a minute. But the guys in the packing department told me, they're like, dude, the last guy who drove delivery here, 28 furniture, so you're good, you're fine. And I never drove again without the rope across the top.
It seems to me like that's a lesson a lot of people learn the hard way. When driving on the highway, you see a ridiculous number of mattresses on the side of the road.
And that's why, because they think it's a heavy piece of furniture. There's no way this is going to fly out of the truck. But they can and will fly, and they will go. That's what happens. They go straight out the top. You think, well, I need to see to tie it in the back so it doesn't go out the back of the truck. But no, It goes out. It goes straight up in the air. It flies about 12 feet in the air, and then it whoosh.
It's funny though, because this is a purely. I mean, again, I've lived in the Southeast, or I've lived in not just the Midwest, but specifically Michigan. So I realize that my experience is not that broad, but this was a phenomenon we only experienced after we moved south. In Michigan, I don't remember ever seeing a mattress on the side of the highway. I don't know if it was because people, we had really good mattress cleanup crews, people would just go out and get it, or if because it was cold a good portion of the year, or raining or snowing or whatever, you put it inside a vehicle. You didn't tie it to your car.
Yeah. You probably have more box trucks than we do down here.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, actually, when I think about it, the times that I moved from college, without my parents moving me, my last time, when Matt actually drove up to college to get me we moved in together for the first time, he brought a box, it was a work van from his job, the white panel work van. And that's how we got everything back. And I think a lot of our moving experiences were that.
Yeah, I think in the South, everybody's got a pickup, an open bed pickup. And up north, everybody's got a box truck or a van.
Right,
so,
right.
Like you said, because of weather, because a pickup truck is a 2-season car up north.
Right, exactly. Unless you've got the really nice bed cap thing, which a lot of people do up there. And at that point, you also don't have to worry about it. So, important question. What would you advise? Moving yourself or hiring a mover?
If you have the money, I'd hire a mover, because I did that one time and it was really sweet. I mean, it was so trouble-free and just, whoa, hey, that was totally worth the $800.
Yep.
So yeah, I would say if you can afford it, hire a mover. Obviously, I mean, it's a lot of money, and I think that's why people typically don't, because they're like, well, that's a lot of money to throw away, and I could use that money to buy new furniture or something at the new house. So, but if you're ever moving for a job and they're forking over the money, do that stuff.
Yes, yes. The one time that we had movers was when we were moving from Detroit to Atlanta, and it was for a job, and the company paid us to move, and it was the sweetest deal we ever had. The crew came to our house in Michigan. They loaded up the truck. They were great. One of them and his wife drove down to Georgia. So they're, and they got there the next day, and we drove, at the time we had a little Saturn. So we and the cat drove in our Saturn and the breakable stuff, all the fragile stuff in the back, and that was it. So we get there, they arrived the next day. The guy from Detroit was amazing. He, because he drove down and he and his wife his wife and I sat and watched because he arrived and we were supposed to have movers from an Atlanta location of this company come help. But the Atlanta people were late, like really late. So the driver and Matt unloaded half the stuff before they even arrived. So his wife and I were just hanging out. But it was, so I think Matt might disagree that it was the easiest move ever because he did actually do a lot of the work. But eventually the other crew came and they got everything knocked out. But it was 100% the best moving experience I've had.
Yeah, it totally makes things a lot easier. It takes that level of stress off of you. So if you ever get the chance, like I said, ideally, your company's moving you and they pay for it, and you can just. Although if you actually move, I think if you move yourself for a job, whether they pay for the move or not, you can write it off. Can you not?
I believe that is true. Yes.
So yeah, do it. Do the thing at least once in your life. Just it's like you should probably buy one new car in your life, and you should probably pay for somebody to move you once in your life, just to know what it's like. Treat yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we had a friend that moved from Atlanta to Seattle for a job, like a big fancy job at Microsoft, and he had just bought a brand new car right before this move. And he's like, "Oh, great! I get to drive my brand new car across the country." And they're like, "No. Why would you put the miles on your car? We will rent you a car and we will ship your brand new car from Atlanta to Seattle." And he's like, "Okay." So it started having all the miles on it. It was perfect.
Yeah. I guess I could see the sense after last week's episode. I could see the sense in wanting to drive across country, though. As I told you, I like road trips. So.
Well, and he still drove across the country. He just drove across the country on their dime with their rental car.
Was it a good rental car or a shit rental car? Because most rental cars I ever do are shit.
True. This was years ago, so I don't know. So Droid, if you happen to be listening, and yes, his name is Droid. Droid, if you happen to be listening, tell us, was the car that Microsoft gave you to move a good car? So even if you listen later, just tell us. Or I'll ask you. It'll be fine.
We'll talk about it. We'll have a recap show in about like episode 20. We're going to have a recap show where we just redress things that we mentioned in passing.
Exactly. I think that's a great idea. Viewer questions. And speaking of viewer questions, viewers, send us your questions. We have been begging you to send us mailbag questions. Make up a question. Send us anything. Do you want to know our thoughts on fish sandwiches? We'll tell you those thoughts. Yeah. Do you want to know our opinions on anything?
Do you want to know what opinions we're wearing?
We'll talk about whatever you said. So send us a question. We're begging you. We want to do this mailbag feature. It would make us very happy. So make our day. Send us questions.
Fill up a minute, would you?
Exactly. But in absence of that, because I had something that I'd wanted to address in mailbag, not that somebody sent the question, but that I have been thinking about it, and now I have no earthly idea what that was. So it doesn't matter.
That happened.
Yeah. Speaking of, do you have a things that are extra?
I do have a things that are extra. Is it that late in the show? I guess it is. We can go ahead and get to that.
It really is. It
reminds me before I get to things that are extra. Do you ever have a thing that's extra, like that you want to talk about? Because if you ever do, you can chime in.
I'm sure I do, and I'm sure I will. Well, we actually, speaking of, the other day I said I have a thing that's extra, and you said that sounds more than extra. So we actually did a special mini show, which you can access if you become one of our Patreon fans. So join Patreon. You'll get an invite to our private group. You'll get to see our little mini opinions. And so do that. It would be fun.
You'll also, in addition to getting to see extra opinions, you also get you'll get a coupon for some couple dollars off of some merch. And you know what? I'm probably going to get some stickers printed up, and I'll just give you one of them if you join as a Patreon person. That'll be free to you. Okay. About the things that are extra. So my thing that is extra. So today at lunchtime, I was actually driving to. So I just started I started working. I've been at my job since March, but I haven't been at my job since March. I've been working from home, and so now I'm working at the office. And the office is in a different town, and I've never lived in that town or worked in that town. So I'm like kind of exploring the area, trying to figure out what's around here. So it's lunchtime, and I'm looking around to see what's good. And I see there's like some really cool, like really old ass diners, like dive diners in the area. And so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to put these on my radar. I'm gonna check these things out, right? So today I was gonna go to one of them, and I had to walk around. Before I left, though, I was like, I'm gonna go check out that hot dog place. But I'm like, before I go, you know what? That might be the kind of place that's cash only, right? And it turns out I was wrong. They take a card, which is great. But that's my thing. It's extra. It's cash only places. In this day and age, you are just being extra to be cash only. Raise your prices a couple of cents and get the damn credit card machine and pay the fees. It's the price of doing business. The worst thing, what's worse than people who just don't take cards are the people who don't take cards, but then they tell you, but we have an ATM machine right over there.
Right.
They've got an ATM machine sitting in the corner where so instead of them paying the fee, now they want you to pay the fee, right? I mean, which again, raise the price on the food, and I'll gladly pay the fee, all right, and I won't know about it. But if you walk over there and use your private ATM machine, it's going to cost me $4. I can guarantee you this will be the first and last time I eat in your establishment. Having a credit card machine is the price of doing business. Also, here's the thing: during this last, if you don't take credit cards during COVID-19 when your business was closed, how'd you sell gift cards? How'd you sell T-shirts? How did you take over the phone orders and whatnot?
Right.
People can't pay cash over the phone. Get with the times. That's all.
No, I think you are 100% right, and I think a lot of businesses learned that lesson over the last few months because, there wasn't an option.
Right. Yeah. So it always seems to me like people are just being weird when they won't take a credit card. I remember I've lived long enough to remember that actually 15 years ago or so, Waffle House wasn't taking credit cards. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah, I think it was theirs was a case of it's the mark of the beast or some nonsense like that. There are some people who are so religious they won't take credit cards because they think credit cards are somehow some sort of awful. I mean, and yes, credit cards. There's a tad of evil involved, but there's a tad of evil involved in capital in general. So why draw the line there? Why not run a part of it?
And look, if we're all carrying around phones, none of those conspiracy theories. We're giving people access to literally all of our data 24 hours a day. There is nothing anyone can do anymore that, nobody's stealthily trying to get your info. We handed it to them by getting cell phones.
Yep. Whenever you download an app, it says, I'm going to steal this info, please. And you're like, okay.
We become, this is actually this should be its own mini episode. Because, we don't even read that stuff anymore. We're just like, yep, I want to use this thing.
Yep. Name your first Uncle Stiltskin. Sure, whatever the hell. I don't care. Just give me the game. I just want the game.
That's all I want. That's all I want. I don't care. All right. That is the end of our show for today. I remember that we did come up with a content calendar for the rest of June, but I can't remember what we said. So we'll talk about it on social media so you all find out. We'll tell you. But of course, like our show on Facebook. Bill Has Opinions on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Join us on Patreon. We'd love to have you. And please, please share our videos because that's how we get new people to like us.
Yeah. If you do share it in forums and in different contexts if it's related. I don't know. Share this on the Hertz Rent-A-Car website.
the 2 men in a truck, which is what we use to move from Michigan to Georgia. 2 men in a truck.
Those two guys are great. I don't know how they move all those people, just 2 of them. But anyway. Yeah, and then so this is the end of the show. I'm gonna say my little spiel here. This show, Bill Has Opinions, is produced and engineered by Laura Lavoie. The opinions of Bill are Bill's and Bill's alone, and unless Laura shakes her head in agreement, in which case then I guess she shares them. I don't know. But otherwise, and her opinions are hers, and mine are mine. And anyway, yeah, that's pretty much that. Yeah, sign up for all the things and join us again next week. Same time. We're now at 6:00 because of my job.
So we'll see you then. We'll see you next week, everybody. Thank you so much. All right.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.